1 in 4 homes is single mom led. And 50% of all of our children in the U.S. will live in a single parent home prior to reaching age 18. So it's really, like you count down your streets, count down the houses, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 in 4 is going to be led by a single mom. And 85% of those families are unchurched. They don't feel like they're welcome there. And yet being able to tell them about the Lord would be so spectacular. It's a good place for them to be.
And so as you began to really elaborate on this topic, what did you find to be some of the principles, and how did you put the material together?
Well, part of it is because I live it. 22 years ago was when I started my single mom journey. Of my 7 children, the youngest was 1 year old. And so, so that's when I started being a single mom. And so there's a lot to learn. And when I put together the 10 best decisions a single mom can make, I took all the things that work, and that's what's in the book. There's practical things about parenting and about getting into church and about teaching your children about the Lord and how to do Bible time. And the thing that happens with the single mom, you can look out at single moms sometimes and their kids, and you watch their behavior, and you're like, what are they thinking? What are they thinking? And here's the thing, they're not. And here's why. When you have most of the people that are single moms, they are originally they were in a committed relationship. They didn't anticipate doing this by themselves. And so when you have a breakup of that very critical relationship, you go into a shock, you go into a trauma. When you're in trauma, the front part of your brain goes offline. And so now you are in fight, flight, freeze, or please, which works great when you're running from a bear because you don't want to think about it. But for moms, we have to start thinking about how do we do the best thing for our children? How do we give them that consistent home? How do we get them, get their homework done? How do we teach them chores? We have so much, and then they have a broken heart too. And so what I wanted to do with this book was to say, let me show you how to get the thinking part of your brain back online so you can make good decisions when you most need to.
So the range of ages of your kids at the beginning of this journey 22 years ago, one was the youngest, and the oldest was?
She was 18.
So you're dealing with an infant all the way up through a teenager. Yes. Plus, you've got these negative factors, and like you said, just the emotional aspects of what you had gone and were continuing to go through. So how were you able to really focus on not only walking in God's healing, but also the tasks at hand of raising a family by yourself?
That's the big question.
That is a huge question.
And the trauma and the upset doesn't end because there's court situations, sometimes there's a relocation, sometimes you got to go get a job, sometimes there's those calls and there's the visits that go back and forth. And so there's a continual trauma that keeps happening. So to be able to start thinking is difficult. And what I did was I focused on what is the next right thing. What is the next right step? What is the next right decision? And I only sometimes knew just that next one. And my point was to always give my children a place of consistency. So much in their life had blown up. I wanted them to be able to go, but this always happens. Every night we do Bible time. We all do chores. We all eat healthy. We all take turns with this, that, and the other. And what were the 5 ways that we could treat each other nicely? So we had 5 rules. Don't lie. Don't call somebody a name. Don't push or hit. So we had just those basics. And so the kids knew this is it. It's small. It's basic. We can do this. And then pressing into the Lord. I will say churches don't know what to do with single moms, and they need to.